Man, you want to talk about a staple in the Northeast independents. 19 years in the sport. Azrieal, trained by the one and only Homicide. In addition to spending some time at the New Japan Wrestling LA dojo. Azrieal, we'll talk a bit more about some of the accolades, but this is a guy who's having a renaissance in his career and just keeps getting better and better. For as experienced as Troy Hollywood is, still with less than half the years of experience than Azrieal. And it just so happens that Troy Hollywood was trained by Jay Lethal, a man that Azrieal was once running buddies once upon a time in Ring of Honor when he was part of Special K.
I tell you what, Troy Hollywood making his entrance here, but Azrieal said earlier, before Pure started, he has a high expectation for the fight that's going to be brought to him. Not the wrestling match, the fight. He is expecting a fight out of Troy Hollywood tonight, and I'm interested to see if that's what we're going to get.
Oh, 110%. You got to think both of these men getting to make their debut here at Pure. We called Pure 22 a new beginning. And this is a matchup that, truth be told, could headline just about any card here in the sport. We still have our Pure Championship match come a little later tonight, but right now, we find out, is it going to be the years of experience? Is it going to be the youth? Who's going to be victorious here? Pure 22.
On any given night, the tables can turn.
And the thing is,
I was going to say, to your point, I want to say that the experience is always going to come in handy.
Oh, 100%. And we've seen Azrieal recently in AEW Dark, but of course at ECWA, where he was a two-time heavyweight champion, a two-time Mid-Atlantic champion. It's a man who's held championships in Combat Zone Wrestling, Jersey All Pro Wrestling. And oh, I was going to say, the way that arm was being wrenched by Troy Hollywood there, before I even got done the credentials of Azrieal, this match was almost over.
He about tapped him right there. And again, we're keeping it down to the pure wrestling here. They're trying to outwit each other at this point. Nobody's really too agitated. Nobody's really too frustrated. But I'm curious, now as we got him in the corner.
Troy, let him out. 1, 2.
We're going to have a clean break.
3.
Somewhat looks like.
All right.
You don't see that very often, but it's...
Mike Goga is going to again be up to his eyeballs here tonight with these experienced veterans. And I mentioned Jay Lethal earlier, and of course I talked about Special K as Azrieal now taking that wrist control, forcing the pin. Well, it just so happens in Jersey All Pro Wrestling, Azrieal, a former tag team champion with Jay Lethal. A total oversight on my part momentarily there. So you got to think when it comes to at least the background and the training of Hollywood, as you see Azrieal, at least at this moment, out wrestling Hollywood. Azriel's got an advantage.
I think he's got the advantage because he's got less body weight than let's have to carry around. But on top of that, he is absolutely schooling Hollywood right now when it comes to the wrestling moves.
Of course, Azrieal, born in Argentina, is actually an International Sports Science Association personal trainer. You can see the shape Azriel's got himself into. Not such a clean break this time. Azrieal with a kick to Hollywood there.
Oh, wow, he lit Hollywood up with that one.
Hollywood has held multiple championships in the World Wrestling Network, currently the Full Impact Pro Florida Heritage Champion.
Of course, Flair-esque chops. Oh, and he got caught with a drop kick.
Pinfall.
Oh, only one.
And I dare say that kick out at one there may have just been a body convulsion from Azrieal after being hit so hard with the drop kick of Troy Hollywood.
Body convulsion, but definitely a statement nonetheless.
Hollywood was billed at a 205, and Hollywood's fluctuated his weight, and he has been a cruiserweight champion before. pushing more towards the heavyweight class. What a chop back from Azrieal. Of course, Azrieal holding cruiserweight and light heavyweight championships throughout the sport. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I just watched an iron ring post shift from the impact.
The pinfall. 1 count. But I'm telling you, Azrieal, definitely damage is showing here in Hollywood now, cutting off that oxygen, the fuel that you talked about earlier. And great placement, too. Azrieal in the center of the ring.
Well, to your point, with him having the fitness background as Azrieal, he's going to know a thing or two when it comes to breathing techniques, when how to sort of save himself moving forward, how to stretch out the most of what he can do.
You notice, though, Hollywood keeps just wrenching in the headlock there, doing everything Hollywood can to make it difficult for Azrieal to get to his feet. But now Azrieal finally trying to fight off Hollywood. But what did it take out of Azrieal just to get back to his feet?
What did that clothesline take out of him? We got a quick pin here. No, only 2.
And just like that, though, right when it looked like Azrieal was coming back, all the effort, all the energy used, Hollywood back in control.
And Hollywood's going to take his time here because he knows he's got him where he wants him. Hollywood just, again, working on that oxygen, trying to remove as much of it from Azrieal as possible. And that right there is not going to do any favors. Oh, that'll mess up your kneecap quick.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Hollywood, momentum used against Hollywood. And now Azrieal targeting the knee very smartly, like any veteran would.
And that turnbuckle pad is very thin. There's a steel bolt behind that. That is exactly what Hollywood just ran into. And that's not going to do it any favors.
And I'm telling you, you're watching really a clash of eras of independent wrestling here as these two athletes face off. Azrieal again attacking the knee of Troy Hollywood. And
that's the thing about independent wrestling, is that no matter where you go, like I said earlier, you can learn anything from anybody. And right now, I think Troy Hollywood is learning that these ropes are a little bit closer.
Not gonna lie, I don't blame Troy Hollywood for being upset at the official for taking a darn long time to start that count.
Referee is one of his first contests here. He's still learning a lot like the rest of us. But again, yeah, those counts, you've got to stay consistent with it.
And that'll be the key here. Now Hollywood put against the post. Big shot from Azrieal, catching Troy Hollywood out there. We got a 10 count outside of the ring as Hollywood dumped head first and back into the ring by Azrieal.
And what some people don't understand about chops is that sometimes the ones you don't hear are the ones that hurt the most. Oh, wow.
Yeah, and how about that smart offense from Azrieal?
He uses momentum. He knew he was going out to the floor anyway. Why not step on him?
And this, again, is what we talked about earlier, is Azrieal now stomping on Hollywood outside of the ring. One of the advantages of having the ring that's a little lower to the ground for some of these athletes is there's things they can do that they wouldn't do if it was a few feet higher.
Absolutely. You've got it 2 feet lower to the ground than you normally would. And now Azrael's going to keep Hollywood in the ring because he knows it's the only place he can catch that win, rather.
Just the 1 count. This time it's the emphatic kick out from Troy Hollywood. And I'm telling you, I've watched Troy Hollywood grow up here in the sport. I've seen how good Troy Hollywood has gotten. This is a big test for Hollywood here tonight at Pure 22.
Hollywood looking to keep the lights on, but Azrieal looking to shut him down as he oh, wow, the impact.
And what elevation on that boot to Hollywood. Hollywood prone in the corner, pinfall. 2 count only, and now the front chancery follow-up there by Azrieal.
Not giving him a chance to breathe, as we were talking about.
Yeah, super smart offense here, again, from the veteran. And I'm telling you, if you haven't seen Azrieal in recent times, you're finding out right now, this is a guy who can go like it was year 1, but it's year 19. Can you imagine being this athletic with 19 years of experience and knowledge?
You don't see it very often, I will say that. But it's one of those things where if you know how to protect yourself, if you were trained properly, you can go far in this business. But Azrieal wants to leave tonight, leave Pure 22 with a victory over Hollywood, but Hollywood is not making it easy.
Yeah, and again, this time it's Azrieal smartly keeping that oxygen cut off and clubbing on to Hollywood, but Hollywood does have the advantage. Wait, the bridge here into the submission.
Yeah, see, Hollywood's shoulder was up there for a second, so the referee did not count. That left shoulder was about an inch off the canvas.
Yeah, initially it was a submission, turned into a pinfall there. And smart follow-up there by Azrieal. Again, using weight to the advantage, using the ring to the advantage, just about everything you could expect from a veteran like Azrieal here.
And you notice when he put that headlock on, he didn't just stay put. He started rolling around with it, forcing Troy Hollywood to not only deal with the choke that he's dealing with, but the full 205 pounds of Azrieal.
And again, that's the situation here, is when you see an athlete in peril like Troy Hollywood is right now, you may ask yourself, well, why isn't he trying to just sprint and push himself as hard as he can? If he moves the wrong way, the lights are going all the way off, and they may be off now. Let's see. Is that arm going to stay up?
It's going down. No. It's working its way back up.
Hollywood trying to get the adrenaline flowing. You hear the PWX faithful getting behind both these athletes. You hear the show of appreciation.
No doubt. Hollywood trying to work his way out. He's now gotten loose from that headlock.
Another forearm catching Azrieal. And again, the veteran this time in a bit peril here, but Hollywood telegraphing that in a really smart counter. Hold on, pinfall.
Two. Oh, no, only two.
Indeed, it was close, but not quite. Now both men throwing right hands here.
Oh, we got a haymaker exchange right now.
And I've seen Troy Hollywood use his longer limbs to his advantage in cruiserweight matches. What a knee! Rocking Azrieal, and German suplex from Hollywood, like only Troy Hollywood can do. Folding up Azrieal
like a cheap lawn chair.
And I'll tell you, Pierce, this could be it. Oh, knee to the corner. Azrieal has to be out. Troy Hollywood on his feet, and Hollywood is pleased.
I'm surprised Azrieal was still able to move after that kick to the face. What's Hollywood going for here?
Elbow
second.
Beautiful elbow connects. Pinfall.
Oh.
But somehow Azrieal is still in this matchup. And I've got to reiterate once again, what does it say about Azrieal that he survived that onslaught and managed to kick out? But then what does it say about Troy Hollywood, that Hollywood not only in control at this moment, but looking like he's picking at the meat on the bone here, so to speak.
He's about to finish his plate, and Azrael's up. What has Hollywood got in mind here?
Azrieal fighting off Troy Hollywood, at least for the moment, but the elbow of Hollywood at least.
That has been Hollywood's most effective move thus far, is those back elbows.
Yeah, it's definitely getting the long limbs. I was going to say, it looked like Hollywood, at least for a moment, had slowed down Azrieal, but instead, both of these men throwing everything they have at one another here.
This is that type of contest. As soon as you get ready to say one guy's got the advantage, it switches up on you. Wow!
Bulldog connects after 3 big hits to the gut from Azrieal there. What is Azrieal planning here?
Azrieal trying to get the crowd and the momentum on his side. Troy Hollywood may be in trouble here.
Big kick. Pinfall.
Wow!
And just at the last moment, Hollywood gets the shoulder up here. But now Azrieal has something in mind.
He thinks he's going to be able to cash this high rent check. Is it going to bounce? It does not. Wait a minute.
Hollywood counters.
Rolled him up. No!
2 count only. Smart offense from Hollywood. Walk of Fame. We've seen so many defeated this way.
What? No!
Azrieal surviving the Walk of Fame.
How did he kick out of that?
The only thing I can figure is just Hollywood, probably in the moment, a bit nonchalant in the pin, but even then, impressive for Azrieal to kick out. You can see frustration now on the face of Hollywood.
I would say the list of guys that have kicked out of that has got to be insanely short, but it just added the name of Azrieal.
I think it counted on one hand as a boot to the face of Azrieal.
Oh, and Azrieal says, bring it. Oh.
And the slap as well.
I'm not Jay Lethal Spring. I'm not even his buddy. I'm the best damn.
Oh!
Some jaw jacking.
Azrieal not looking to hear it.
Another chop. And Hollywood, that jaw jack has brought Azrieal back to life. Bottom rope's the only thing keeping Troy Hollywood in the ring right now.
Oh, man, that would have been a nasty spill had that bottom rope not been there.
What is Azrieal planning? The chop again to a prone Hollywood. You notice Azrieal standing on the feet of Hollywood while Hollywood is prone outside of the ring.
And you could pull a hamstring that way. You could rupture a quad. I mean, that's a steel cable going through basically a garden hose. a thin rubber coating over top of it.
And Hollywood, you could see, not showing a lot of signs of life here, but somehow back to his feet. I don't know how, as Azrieal now dumped into the ring.
Again, the height coming into play when it comes to the ring. You can't just throw somebody into the ring the way you normally would.
And what's Hollywood got in mind here? Big stomp there to the chest, pinfall.
So what's he gonna go for here? Boston Crab, possibly?
Yeah, with a heck of a trajectory there. You can see the neck bending in a very nasty way.
And see, he was luckily able to get to those ropes, but yeah, that neck is not supposed to bend that way, at least not naturally.
Azrieal kicking Hollywood, trying to force some separation here. Can the veteran now capitalize? And Hollywood instead, not only dumping Azrieal into the corner, but you say had some malintent, but a great counter here from Azrieal.
Oh man, the counter after counter in this match has been tremendous.
Yeah, the Gamagiri's got Hollywood prone in the corner. And I'm curious to see.
That'll wake you up if you were asleep. What's Azrieal? Those feet are still hooked up on the top rope. Where's he? Oh, just planted him.
Yeah, that DDT coming out of the corner. Is this it?
Whoa.
You are talking about 2.99.
That is a close call right there.
Maybe a few more nines at the last possible moment. You see Azrieal going for the pin again.
See, if you're Azrieal, I got to feel like this is music to your ears. You're getting closer and closer to that 3, and at 2.99, you're just that close to walking out of Pure 22 with Victor.
You see Hollywood holding on to the foot of Azrieal, trying to stop Azrieal by any means necessary from getting to the corner, but worse for wear is Hollywood. Double chops from Az.
He is just lighting Hollywood up, and Hollywood's going to return it.
Two athletes here pounding each other to a pulp. The kick there does not connect from Hollywood, and Hollywood finding himself outside the ring again. What does Az have in mind?
This is a dangerous spot to be if you're Troy Hollywood. Oh, caught him. Azrieal connected. You see Azrieal catching his breath here.
And I'll give it to Azrieal, looking phenomenal here in this matchup, but so is Troy Hollywood.
Troy Hollywood kind of reminded me of that punch me clown. No matter how hard you hit it, it's always going to bounce right back up towards you.
Now, and that's the thing with both of these athletes, showing that they are top tier. These are guys that are really at an elite level, and we're about to find out.
Oh, wow!
100% super kick rocking Azrieal, who's hanging limply over the top rope, and I got bad news for Azrieal. If Hollywood's got what I think he has in mind. Hollywood known to punt men's heads off. Az in a bad place.
Not off the apron. Oh, he got him.
And instead of the punt, it's knees. Either way, it is effective.
And the referee started his count. He's at 3 now.
And that's the challenge, Pierce. Looks like Hollywood's able to manhandle Az back in. I was going to say, is Azrieal going to be able to answer that count? Well, Hollywood leaving nothing here to question as Hollywood heads to the top.
He's headed to those Hollywood Hills, as it were, up top. Is he going to hit it? Oh, no, he got it the first time, but not the second.
Yeah, great counter by Azrieal. Hollywood in trouble. What does Azrieal have in mind? Ducks catching Hollywood. Armbar.
Wait, can we see a submission?
And Hollywood doing everything he can. Now the pin, too, being forced here. You can see Hollywood in double trouble.
And see, Hollywood, because he's so locked up, can't see where he is. Okay, now he can.
In fact, Hollywood's trying to use...
Look at the strength.
I was about to say use that strength as a way to fight off Azrieal, but Azrieal releasing the hold, and instead now, ooh, the knee!
Jesus, that right there, you crack an orbital bone with that. Hollywood looking to finish it here.
Yeah, it was calling for the pedigree, but instead now counter, backslide, no, rolls through to Hollywood.
Oh, DDT! He got a DDT again. Azrieal needs to finish it up here.
Hollywood prone Azrieal heading to the top, and oh my God, double stomp to the back of the neck, pinfall.
2, never saw it coming.
Azrieal victorious.
Here's your
And I'm going to tell you right now, the veteran with the big win here tonight, but you and I both know Troy Hollywood pushed Azrieal to the limit, and so easily could things have went the other way, but they did not. Still, what a debut for both athletes here at Pure 22. You got to think PWX officials are impressed by these two.
Oh, they had to be. Azrieal said, like I said, he was expecting a lot out of this fight, and that's exactly what he got out of Troy Hollywood tonight, and that was a fight.
110%, a big win from Azrieal here at Pure 22. And even in defeat, Troy Hollywood looking impressive here at Pure. Gonna have to regroup. And Troy Hollywood,
I don't think he knew where he was. He needed the referee's assistance to figure out the exit.
Might need a little bit of medical assistance as he heads to the back, but nevertheless.